Hello, EXDF. Welcome to the show. If you don't mind, could you tell us in the audience a little bit about yourself?
I go by the online name EXDF underscore. I am, or at least was, a Twitch streamer for a while. But I'm a Google Doodle Champion Island speedrunner. And I have been since I think 31st of August. So a couple months. Actually, what is that? That's like 6 months. Jeez. Um, but I am currently, I think, sixth place overall. Um, in the main category, which is all scrolls warps allowed. And according to Ryan, I pretty much taught him everything that he knows. So I'm not sure how much credit I can actually take for that, but you know, I'll
Well,
take
like,
what I can get.
yeah, you taught me a lot of it. When I was a lot of warps allowed, really, because when I was first beginning warps allowed, you kind of told me, you kind of sh- showed me the TSS into quick warp. That was the main thing that you taught me.
Well, I'm glad I
Um,
could be of service.
what really got you into speedrunning?
So back in 2016, which is a
Oh, that's
long
a long
time
time
ago.
ago. Yeah, jeez.
Yeah. 2016, the Google Doodle Magic Cat Academy came out, and if anyone knows what that is, it's your little black cat that's trying to defeat ghosts in order to save a little school and all of her friends, and that's pretty much the premise. Um, so that kind of got me into Google Doodles at least, and it speedrunning was starting to become a concept to me at that point. So I was like, hey, maybe at some point I can speedrun this. So I started looking into it a little bit, and I just kind of decided that it was a stupid time to do it. What was that? That would have been like seventh grade for me.
Oh
Um,
man. Oh, I don't need to imagine Brendan that young.
but maybe eighth grade. But still, like, that kind of got me into the concept of Google Doodles and like, hey, if I'm gonna start speedrunning, this is what I want to speedrun. And then Magic Cat Academy 2 came out in 2020, and I was kind of more into speedrunning at that point. Not like I had speedrun anything beforehand, but just like, hey, this has come up again. Maybe I should revisit this idea. And then Champion Island came out, and I was full steam ahead with it. Um, it was a full length game that I could speed run without getting tired of it because although it's full length, it is a short speed run, at least compared to a lot of others where it's like 3 hour runs. And technically, that's not the first speed run that I did. I had a friend back in November of 2020, I think, who got me into speedrunning Lego Star Wars: The Complete Saga for the PlayStation 3. Which, if you've ever played that game, it's really poorly optimized for the PlayStation 3. So it was just a lot of fun, but nobody has ever played it on the PlayStation 3 before, at least for our category co-op. So we got the world record in that. And so that kind of got me into speedrunning. Just that kind of basis in what to expect, as well as a game that I was actually interested in speedrunning. Those things together kind of got me into speedrunning. So once Champion Island came out, I was like, yeah, I've got to speedrun a little bit.
Oh man, yeah, I really agree with that because I remember Champion Island comes out. Me and my friend are like, "Yo, this is like a full size game." I s- I really enjoyed speedrun content, so I was starting to toy with the idea of, could I do this fast? So I, Googled Wasi, had my dreams immediately shattered, and then decided to start running Warpless.
Fair point. Fair point.
So out of your speedruns, what was your absolute favorite?
What was my favorite run?
Favorite run, basically either type of run, a specific run that just really stuck, any of those.
So, I mean, I'm always going to have a soft spot in my heart for All Scrolls Warps. It's just I think it's the best way to speedrun that game, Champion Island. I think it's just the basis of what that game should be. Um, but I think probably my favorite thing that I've speedrun, and this is going to be a very controversial take,
Oh.
especially since I haven't speedrun it a lot, is All Doodles percent. Um,
Oh yeah.
so All Doodles percent, if you'll let me talk about it for a little bit, it's all of the Google Doodles from the very beginning of Google Doodles up until like the end of the most recent year. Um, you have to play all of them in sequential order, or in really in any order, but you have to play them every single one all the way through, and just as fast as possible. And it's really, really difficult. I think my time is 2 hours and 11 minutes or something. And we've had some recent runners, like there's been Sheesh, there's been Sophia, who have gotten like lower than 1 hour and 40 minutes, and then there's Fibble, who's sub 130.
Phil's just
So
too.
yeah, it takes a long time, and it is just such a grind. But really, it's so much. It's action packed. It's really hard to get good at all of the games there. But once you do, it's just so satisfying. And I've been practicing a lot, which is the only reason that I know how it feels to be good at them. Um, though I haven't submitted an actual decent run. I plan to soon though. But All Doodles is just such a cool run. I wish there were more runners for it.
Yeah. I also did a sprinkled in a bit of all doodles, and I remember my first ever stream. Like not my first ever stream, my first ever all doodles run on stream live, 3 hours. Because
Yeah. You you had like a 3 hour 9 minute run. And if you check the
yeah,
obsoletes on that, like man, I like that was an easy second place that I took there. Like that was my first try. I got 2 hours 11 minutes, and you got that 3 hour thing, and you were actually second place for a little while, and that's what's absurd.
I
Um,
was first place for like 12 hours until Fibble was like, okay, I'm gonna submit an actually valid run.
it's yeah. I mean, there's just so much range as to how well you would do. But once you know like the timings for where each game starts and ends, um, once you know uh the solutions to each game, it becomes fairly easy.
Once you
Um,
know that you don't have to watch the whole
except,
animation in that one Halloween doodle where you just click on the doors.
yeah. I mean, except for like Cricket or 4th of July, which,
Oh,
oh my God,
don't mention those two around me, man.
dude, 4th of July, I got 24 runs on one run, and then so you have to reach 25. I got 24, and then I got out. So it's just the most infuriating doodle. I think 4th of July is worse than Cricket though because of the fastballs. You know, when his cap turns
Oh,
red, he just
red.
you can't you can't hit those. It's impossible. I'm convinced.
I just swing as soon as I hear the audio cue of him throwing and pray.
Just spam space. That's all you can do.
Pick a god and pray. You'll need it to hit this one.
Yep.
Yeah, cricket. Those two. I I saw Fibble doing 100% all doodles recently, and he made it to
Yeah.
999 cricket, and I was like, no, that's gonna become the requirement if this becomes an actual run. Don't do this to me.
No, they would never do that. But 999 points on Cricket is absolutely insane. I can't believe that anyone would even attempt that. And that Fibble did it in a live run.
Yeah, what the heck? Like it wasn't his first try because he went there and he was like, oh god, I hate this because the goal was 200 because it's just twice the all doodles amount. And then he
Hmm.
plays through a few more returns and gets 999. What the heck?
Fibble is insane.
I remember going through like trying to learn some of the games I had trouble on for all doodles, and I would just see the world record held by Fibble, and I was like, what the heck, man?
Yeah, I mean, if you go to really any Google Doodle, you'll see Fibble in the top three. Like it's ridiculous how much effort he puts into every single doodle out there. Um, how
Hey,
much how much blood, sweat, and tears he's put into kids coding. Like,
Yo, Fibble, if you're watching this, episode 2,
dude, honestly, he would be like the best guest to have on this.
Okay, so remember when I asked you what your favorite speedrun was? Let's flip that.
Yeah.
Which speedrun did you just hate? Is there any that you just really stick out as bad?
Um, aside from all doodles, I would probably have to say All Scrolls percent warpless.
Oh wow, okay, attacking my home category.
I think that it's just a shit category. I think I just don't understand why anyone would want to play that game the way that it's played in that category.
Would
Why
assume you
wouldn't
would
you
go
use
for
the
like
warps? Like it just adds a whole different element that's so terribly inconsistent. And
TSA,
then
TSA.
yeah, no, like it was inconsistent. Like I'm talking about movement, even like it was inconsistent with movement. But once you add in stuff like TSA and TSA skip and all that, like you have so many things going on at once that it's just a bad category. I mean, it's become worse. Like it's just yeah, it's indescribably bad.
Um, I was like, what? Just as a question, where does bread percent stand in all of this? I thought you were gonna like pull that one up for one of these two.
Bread percent is the most annoying speedrun I've ever
You have to sit
played.
there for like an hour at least,
Just
just
spamming
clicking a
enter and
toaster.
spacebar. Yep, clicking the toaster over and over. You learn how to jitter press enter and space.
Me explaining to my
Um,
friends that there's a toaster in a game by a Google dev that I just clicked for 2 hours straight one day.
yeah, I don't know how you got it for 2 hours. Like, how did it take you 2 hours? It took me one.
It's that 18H kid touch, man. And no matter what I do, it always just ends up being double the time that the previous person did.
Damn, I mean, like, yeah, bread percent. It is a very annoying speed run. It's not the worst. I still stand by the fact that All Scrolls Warpless is the worst. Um, but bread percent is up there.
I guess
I mean,
also.
any percent for that game is a solid speed run. It's just a couple of clicks, but it's at least a speed run. Bread percent is just so pointless.
And to this day, I still haven't figured out how to get the wine in the sloth's glass.
Well, you just got to download it and then the physics work. But if you do it in the browser, it's not going to work.
Well, yeah, I play through Doodle Launcher, so
Then
it's
I don't know how. Oh wait, Doodle Launcher. I think it's messed up in Doodle Launcher too.
awesome. I assume the fan's meant to blow the wine, right?
That's
And
correct.
okay, I was really wondering. How, like, with speedrunning comes the whole community. Yeah, how do you feel about this community?
Google Doodle speedrunning community or Champion Island community.
Well, kind of both, as well as just speedrunning as a whole. How do you feel about the community around it? Whether it's the
So
casual players who don't actually do runs, or the top runners like Fibble spending hours.
So I've actually gotten to know Fibble pretty well. The community that we have in Champion Island, it's very much like a close knit family kind of thing. Um, Everyone's got their role, and everyone knows, how the other people are. Um, it doesn't mean that we all like each other all the time. It's just we're a family. Families don't always like each other all the time. Um, Google Doodle speedrunning overall, though, it's so Champion Island is led by Red Moose Rom, and he is really good at kind of moderating the community. Well, it's also led by Fibble,
Yeah,
but they're
like
both really good at moderating the community and being in charge of what gets added and what's not. They're very responsible with their duties. But Google Doodle speedrunning is led by this guy named Rennie, and Rennie is pretty uncommitted. Uh, and I know if he ever hears this, he's probably going to demote me as mod for all of
yo,
the
it's
games
time
that
to
I'm mod for.
put this in the Google promo section.
But I think there are some issues that could be ironed out in the Google Doodle speedrunning community that I think Rennie is working toward. And I think Red, Moostrom, and Fibble, and Funado, and Pull Matrix, they're all going for that too. I think they're a strong team together. I just think that there are some issues in that community that I'm not really willing to go into that could be fixed. And I think that should be fixed. But I think we're getting there.
Yeah, it's hard to make a tightly knit community around a Google. It's either hard or easy to make a tightly knit community around a Google game. Because for one, it's a small game, so everyone knows each other. But for the other, it's a Google game. It's hard to make much of anything around it.
Yeah, and the thing that I've noticed about Champion Island is because we are so much like a close knit family that whenever someone new joins, is like, okay, I'm ready to start speedrunning this game. It's like, who are you? Like, like
Oh my
where
goodness,
have you
right?
been the last 6 months? Like, I mean, like that's kind of even how I was when I first joined, because I joined, like I said, 31st of August. The game came out, I think, a month before then. So I was actually pretty late to the party. Not as late as you, Ryan, but I was pretty close.
Yeah.
But like then I just kind of started to do things in the community, kind of make a name for myself. Started getting noticed by Red and Fibble, and
Getting
now
noticed.
I'm kind of one of the top, 3 or 4 people in that community for who would become a mod for Champion Island 2 if it ever comes out. Um, I've just it's all about involvement in the community and what you add to the community. Um, and not a lot of the new people add a whole lot. Um, but I mean, adding something, it partially comes like it comes from being there a while, which makes it harder for new people to add something. Um, but it's just it's difficult to get there. Once you've gotten there, though, it's very rewarding, and I feel like I've given back to the community what I've gotten out of it, and I think you've done the same personally.
Yeah, I remember I was a super like in reality I wasn't incredibly late. Like technically, I just didn't join the Discord for a while. I had no connections to the online section of Champion Island. It was just me and my friend like running Warpless, and I managed to just formulate my own tiny brain ideas to get 11 minutes. Like I would
11 minutes, wow.
like I would
I Yeah,
I didn't know how to skip the tutorial, so I would lose it because they still let me by. Um, and then
that's smart.
stuff like Marathon, I would just hope and pray. And I
So
remember,
yeah, 11 minutes. That's a really shitty time, but that's got to have felt like really good at the time.
oh yeah.
Um,
And then once I learned the
but
strats, man, I started with I. It's still bad even for knowing the strats, but I managed to whittle it down to like 10:36 just playing around on my off time at school.
yeah, I mean, that's really impressive. And yeah, you are probably the latest person in the community who has added something to the community and found a place in the community. Um, but yeah, I mean, I remember the first run that I did, it was a warps run. It was like, God, I don't know, 9-11 or something. Like, it was trash run. Um, I mean, for a first try for someone who wasn't in the Discord, yeah, it was pretty okay. And I will say the only reason I joined the Discord, out of all honesty, is because my run got rejected the first time. I don't remember exactly why, um, but it was something like maybe I cut one of the cutscenes short or something, um, or I don't know, something like that. But my run was actually rejected. So I was like, hey, can someone explain to me? Oh, no, I remember what it was. I accidentally uploaded the wrong YouTube video. So
Oh,
so the YouTube video that I'd uploaded was one of the official Google Doodle like Champion Island intro things. Like I
oh
think it was
that.
rugby intro cutscene. And because I was using that sound effect for one of my Twitch sound effects for follower or something.
Oh, the
Um,
Twitch. Oh man.
Yeah, so I just had that on my clipboard and I pasted it instead of the correct link. And the rejection reason I got back, I think, was from Fibble. It just said hilarious. So I was like, hey, why did this get rejected? And then Red got back to me and was like, oh, it's because you put this. And then I just like, oh God, like the humiliation. But then I got the actual run submitted. It was still a really shitty run. I think later that day I got like 8:45. Which is pretty solid for a first day.
That was nice.
And
Yeah.
then I started improving kind of rapidly. I think I got top 10 in my first like 3 or 4 days of running the game. I'm not naturally good at video games, so this was kind of a big win for me.
I feel like that was similar for. Don't mean to toot my own horn here, but that was a bit similar for me, coming into warps especially, because knowledge from warpless into the more consistent land of warps was just like sub 820 day two.
Sub 820, dude, before GDS, that was a monumental task.
That
And that's
was
why
the
Sidhu
praise.
that's why Sidhu quote unquote retired for a while.
And then the same day
Um
I got my sub 820, GDS was discovered. Let's go.
Dude, GDS was just a game changer that I still think should not have happened. Um,
Yeah, you were really against GDS. You want to talk about that on this little podcast?
so GDS, it was a way to skip some cutscenes, some ending sport cutscenes in Champion Island. And the reason that it was added to Warps was because it didn't, it wasn't brought upon by manipulating save files of any sort, which is what the glitch category was mainly for. Um, but I still think it should have gone to the glitched category because it's just a glitch that was very significant. Um, the category used to say something like only minor glitches are allowed, and that would be like TSS or
Yeah,
something like that.
TSS.
GDS was by no means a minor glitch. Like I think at this point it saved a whole 40 seconds off of
Well,
the old world record. 30
more,
seconds.
because current WASI is 738, and old WASI was 810. So that's literally 40 seconds, like 42 seconds. That could
Something like that.
that could just
But
also be WASI improving at the same time, but it's GDS is a huge chunk of that.
it's just it was the biggest game changer, and it really it split apart the skill versus where like skill in the game versus when you join the community or when you were active in the community. Like Sam, illegally Sam, who's one of the top runners, he's fantastic at the game. He knows a lot about it. He's I think he's got a couple world records in the game. He used to have I think like 7th place run or something. It was sub 820 before GDS. Um, and then come GDS, he's now what 15th, something like that,
He's somewhere
16th,
around there.
17th. Um, and that's just because he's no longer active, but he's still got the skill to beat me or anyone around my skill level. It's just he's not tried it with GDS. And so I think it's kind of bullshit to make those runs just kind of obsolete.
While we were talking about the beginning of GDS, we didn't really mention its predecessor, map skip. So, for those of who don't know, one day a mysterious man named V Striker came into the scene and just submitted a run with warps, a brand new way of skipping the warp animation that none of us had known. And he wasn't even in the Discord or anything. He was just some random guy who had found this. But then, while the Discord was playing around with it, they started playing through this warp with the map open and then warping away to skip the cutscene. Originally, this meant, oh no, now you have to do it blind. No more seeing for you. Which was horrifying. I hated that every second of it.
I hated that too, and GDS is honestly such an improvement from that. Map skip is not something I've ever tried except accidentally. Um, But if that was the norm for speedrunning All
I would
Scrolls Warped,
I wouldn't
then
speedrun All
then
Scrolls Warps.
yeah, then my answer would have changed from what's the worst speedrun from
Yeah,
Warpless
right.
to Warps. Um, in fact, I think GDS is probably the biggest reason that Warps is not my favorite speedrun. I think if
Um,
GDS wasn't part of it, Warps would take over all Doodles as my favorite speedrun.
yeah, All Doodles is definitely something. Well, GDS is part of All Doodles.
And I would recommend anyone to do all Doodles. I think it's just a fantastic thing to even try, and it's such a good way to enter into the Google Doodle scene.
Yeah. I feel like I had a thought in my head, but now it's no longer there. Uh, so there you go, all thoughts. Here's a kind of final non-speed running question. What is your opinion on pineapple pizza?
So that is, I've got kind of a controversial answer to that. So my
Yeah.
answer to that is I don't really give a shit actually, and that's because people can like whatever they want to like, and as long as they're not in my face about it, I don't really care. It's fine on it's fine on pizza. It just isn't the best topping, but it's good enough, I guess. Um, I could go either way on it.
Yeah, I remember I tried it once at my grandma's because they happened to order it and we were staying over there. And I was like, this isn't too bad. Because hanging around the Animal Crossing New Horizons server, I'd heard a bunch about it. If you're not in the Animal Crossing New Horizons server, it's a lot. It's a lot of pineapple pizza is a server wide joke, man. But yeah, I kind of stand with you. I, I will eat it if presented.
Yeah, like it's good, but it's not my first choice.
Well, I've ran out of questions on my little Google Doc, so hey, plug yourself. Say some links, and future me will put them in the description of the video.
All right, twitch.tv/exdf underscore. My YouTube is exdf underscore. Pretty much, if you go on any social media site, it's exdf underscore, except Instagram and Facebook, because who uses those sites? Yeah, that's pretty much all I got. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. I just thought it would be fun to start up a kind of speedrun based podcast, and I was like, you know what? Let's bring in old Minter EXDF for this one.
Yeah, I mean, if you ever want me back for anything, I'd be happy to come back. If you should definitely try to get Fibble on this. I think he'd be a
Getting
great
Fibble
guest.
on this would be cool, yeah, because he's done so much Google stuff. Well, I guess that's time to wrap up and to see how on earth I'm gonna publish this little video. Thanks for coming on to the show, EXTF, and to the viewers, hello. Go read the description for all EXTF's plugs and such. Goodbye.
Later.